Minister, under your government's opaque expressions of interest process for exploitation of public lands, the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area and other protected areas as we understand it, there are a number of proponents that are through to lease and licence as a result of stage one of your call for commercial development in public protected areas. How many proponents have put forward proposals under what we now know is the open-ended round two of the program to exploit public protected areas?
It goes to the overall.
Are you able to provide some detail? Because I've got advice on the overall, but if Mr Perry can provide further data.
24 new submissions in round two.
24 new submissions in round two, which is an open-ended round. And what level of transparency is there about those submissions to government to develop inside public protected areas in the wilderness?
Well, look, you understand the process. I'm just not sure what the question is in terms of...
Well, you're listening.
We seek expressions of interest. We go through a process.
Which is not a transparent process.
We assess them. And then if they move to lease and licensing and the engagement with the planning process, then they follow some normal course.
Are you able to explain to the committee, perhaps you can ask Mr Perry, where is the information about those 24 new proposals for private profit from public protected areas? How do the owners of those protected areas, primarily the Aboriginal community, have any path to understanding what your government is trading in?
Again,
and with whom?
We would go through a process. Not all of those.
No.
Not all of those who would come through an expressions of interest process are acceptable or have proposals.
Will they be published on a website?
Well, again, in terms of the outcome, but Mr Perry, you can talk about...
when a proposal proceeds through the assessment process and goes to lease or licence negotiations, it is published on the website.
Well, can you confirm, Mr Perry, that that's a departure from the practice in relation to round one, where proponents were listed on the website during negotiations and at the preliminary stage when requests had been, or when EOIs had been submitted?
There is a change from round one or stage one to stage two, and that was completed because in round one there were two phases which we had significant feedback from proponents that it was bureaucratic and unwieldy, and so when we moved to the second round, we simplified that process. Okay,
well, thank you, Mr Perry. It's just been confirmed to the committee, Treasurer, that you've made an already opaque process to exploit public protected areas even more opaque. You've embarked on stage two of an expressions of interest process where there'll be negotiations made between government and private entities, and there'll be no transparency, is that correct, with the people of Tasmania in relation to those proponents?
That's not correct. As I explained before, when a proposal goes through the EOI process, if it proceeds to then negotiate lease or licence, it is then made public on the website. Okay, well, Minister, through you.
People understand exactly who we're negotiating with.
But Minister, by then the deal's been struck. Oh. But it has, because it's proceeded to lease and licence. How can you scoff at that? By then, there's been internal processes.
It proceeds to negotiation on lease and licence. The deal is not struck.
Well, Treasurer, how do you justify making an already secretive process even more opaque with public protected areas that you don't own, with wilderness that you don't understand?
anybody that proceeds to lease and licence negotiations, it's publicly available.
You're a disgrace.
Tasmanians
Next
will
question, Ms.
understand.
You are a disgrace.
Oh,
you are
look.
trading in
Order.
public assets.
Order. Ms O'Byrne
With
has the next
absolutely
question.
no transparency,
Order.
like they belong to you, and they don't. They belong to the
Order.
Aboriginal people and the people of Tasmania.
Order.
You're a disgrace.
Order. Ms
Thank you,
O'Connor.
Chair. If I can
Thank
go
you for
back
those
to
comments.
the diary of the Coordinator
I didn't think you
General.
could get any more
Order.
dodgy,
Miss O'Connor.
but you are.
Order.
Oh, you don't